Welcome to the Sykes & Company PA video blog featuring Ollin Sykes.
When you're involved in a pharmacy transaction, can you tell us a little bit about what the seller is concerned about, what the buyer is concerned about, and how to keep yourself out of trouble in either position?
Sure. What the seller of a pharmacy typically is after is a number that's fixated in their mind. Sometimes that number is $1 million, sometimes it's 2. A lot of times it's a round number, and sometimes it makes no sense. And what the seller has to understand is, in the pharmacy niche lending world, there are parameters around what can and cannot be financed. So the seller needs to understand how the financing of pharmacy transactions are taking place in today's marketplace, how they're computed, not just fixating on a particular number. So if the seller is not doing his or her homework in that regard, they may be leaving something on the table, and they may be trying to negotiate a transaction that just simply isn't going to happen and simply can't be financed. So from a seller's perspective, that's what a seller needs to be concerned about. From a buying perspective, you kind of approach it from an entirely different perspective, because the buyer probably already has had some initial conversations, perhaps with the pharmacy lending bank. If not, they need to. They probably do not need to be talking to their local bank or community bank or a national bank who little or no pharmacy financing, who knows little or nothing about pharmacy, because all they're going to be concerned about is collateral, and they don't understand the cash flow model that pharmacy lending is typically done upon. And they need to be very careful about how a transaction is structured, which is to say, because this is the most important financial transaction in their life, most likely, they need to structure this with professional help to make sure they're optimizing what they're paying for the goodwill script value for an existing store, for the furniture, fixtures, and equipment, which under any kind of new tax law that's going to be coming down next year in 2017 will probably even be more important. And if the buyer's looking at buying the common stock, they probably need to be considering some of the options to optimize that purchase as if it was an asset purchase. And there are transactions under Code Section 338 and 336 that can assist in that process. And I realize that's Greek, but this is why they need professional help in understanding how to purchase the pharmacy correctly to benefit them from a tax perspective and an economics perspective the best.
It sounds like there are a lot of ways to make a deal work if you have a motivated seller or motivated buyer.
There absolutely are. There are a number of ways. There's not necessarily one right way. There are typically options as to how that works. Again, sometimes that's dictated by the seller. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's dictated by the buyer. But you have to understand what the options are from people that deal in these type of transactions on an ongoing, continuous basis, and somebody that doesn't have a potential conflict of interest, like a broker would. A broker, if is involved from the selling perspective, all they're concerned about is closing the transaction. They could care less about the buyer. Typically, there's an 8 to 10% brokerage fee on top, and all they want to do is get it closed, so they get paid. And they don't care how well or how bad the potential pharmacy buyer is put themselves into. So, all these things enter into play. But again, the most important thing the buyer can look at, typically the millennial buyer that's probably watching this video, is to seek outside professional help from somebody who handles these kinds of transactions on a regular and continuous basis. And I can think of somebody who does that. That would be Sykes & Company PA.
Excellent. And how long does it take if I'm that buyer and maybe I've set my sights on a pharmacy? How long can I expect it to take before we can close?
Well, in a perfect world, it's about a 2-month process. In a non-perfect world, it's a longer process than that, and that would be in a transitioning pharmacy transaction. You typically have 6 to 8 weeks on the financing side. You've got some period of time that you've got in the negotiation. So you really need to kind of start this process about 4 to 5 months out. Can it be done in shorter time frame? Yes, it can be.
Thank you for joining us today. If you want more information or have any questions, please feel free to contact Ollin directly.